Yeah. Okay, Donna, please answer your answer.
Would King Cyrus be considered a magi, or because he is a kind of savior figure, but like what's the difference between a savior and a, a magi? Or like are they the same thing?
Yeah, actually a good question. A magi, as I said, this is something actually I found very recently, just yesterday. I was thinking about magi and the word meh or mah in Persian. And we were talking with a friend, and I was thinking mehan and kehan means the big ones and the small ones, or great ones and ordinary ones. So we have this the kind of uh, distinction in the Persian Book of Kings, Shahnameh, and I found out that these mehan are the magi. Nobody had found that, probably. And because the word mah comes from the word mag or magus, they had the same root. And one of the actually guesses that some linguists have, the word mah, the word moon in English, mah comes from mah and mag. And why we call it moon or mah? Because it's high, it's most high, It's like the most high is like the moon, sun, sky, all are most high. It's a very popular term in theology. Like we have most high in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they call God most high. And it comes from the sky because it's the highest thing we can ever see, the dominant one, is the title for sky. And you said, okay, was Cyrus a magus, we can say, because magi is a plural, actually. Yeah, magus. Was Cyrus a magus? If we consider to be a magus, I mean, if you consider magus to be a great one, yeah, he is a magus. And in what term? It's a very interesting question you ask. Because when you say magus, or the great one in ancient times in Iran, it had two different meanings. One was a religious meaning, and one was actually a popular meaning in society. For example, it is very related to Zoroaster. Like in Gathas, Zoroaster is called Rathu. Rathu in Avestan language means the Lord or a Lord, a commander, a great one, a teacher, a leader. It had all those meanings. And even in Shahnameh, we have the word Rad or Radan. Radan and Bechradan, for example, means the leaders or the great ones, the lords, and wise ones. We had the distinction. And at the same time, yeah, you cannot be a Rad or a great one without being wise.
Yeah.
And you cannot be a great one and a wise one without believing in higher powers like Izads in Avesta, gods. It's like you cannot be a great one without respecting the great ones. It's interesting. Like the word Izad, my approach actually to Avesta and ancient Iranian wisdom is the approach of actually hermeneutic. It's I use hermeneutic to understand how all these meanings are connected. For example, When, as I said, you cannot be a great one without respecting great ones. And like Izad, the word Izad, which means God in Avestan language, or Yazata, Yazataha, all those words. Even Izad means the great one, the respectful one, the one worthy of worshipping, or worthy of worship. Yazata, the word Jash and everything comes from that. Jash means Yasn, Yasna. We have actually name as a Yasna, like for boys, sometimes girls. And Yasnas we have in Avesta. And Gathas called actually a part of Yasnas. Yasna means prayers. And prayers, acknowledgements, appreciations. You can translate Yasnas or Gathas like this: appreciations, or the book of, or songs of appreciation. Songs of Gathas. Gathas in itself means song. When you say Gathas, means songs. It doesn't have religious meaning. It means songs. And in Persian, we know the word gahan. Gah, for example, we have segah, chargah, panjgah in music. It's like that. And so, coming back to your question, I was going to back to your question. When was Cyrus a magus as well? In what terms? He was great as a king and warrior and military commander, one of the best commanders ever on earth. We had about 10 of them in the whole history. And we know that Cyrus the Great was appreciated and appreciated in the book of Isaiah, in Old Testament, the book of Jews. He's commended, you say? Commended, I think, like appreciated and adored by Machiavel, the political philosopher. And many American lawmakers, like American forefathers, they read Cyropedia, written by Xenophon, and they adopted the Cyrus way for running the state, for managing the state. And they were very inspired by Cyrus the Great. So he was great in those terms, and he was great in terms of being wise, because when you read, for example, his charter, like famous to be the first charter of human rights, because he freed the slaves, he respected everyone's religion, so languages, cultures, rituals, everything. So in that you see a wise man, a wise king. So there is another, that's why I separated a public and common sense of being wise and great, and a religious aspect of it. So we have a religious aspect of it too. And from a religious perspective, he could be a great one, or magus as well. So how? You need to go deep into his ways of thinking, ways of talking, and ways of acting. So was he religious? So that's a question. When you say, was he a Sushiant? Was he a savior, as you said? So can a magus be a savior? Yeah, he can be. But in what terms? It is very interesting. We need to talk about this. In Indo-Iranian and Indo-European, and let's say Indo-Iranian European ancient thought, religious. We have the kind of 3 or 4. When I say 3 or 4, because one of them is like equal in dignity, but not equal in acts. I explain. Like we had the highest rank, 3 or 4 ranks. One was kings and priests, or kings and the magi. So they are equal in rank, in dignity, but they had separate job descriptions. You know, kings were not allowed to interfere in religious teachings and, you know, changing rituals or whatever. And religious leaders like priests, the magi, they were not allowed to interfere with the political and military affairs. It was very interesting.
Mhm.
So they believe that it is the right way that a society can work and function properly. So that's what they thought was. So, but were they talking to each other? Yeah. Were they giving advice to each other? Yeah. So they had some advisory kind of advisory positions with each other, but not interfering with each other's affairs. So from that rank, which I see them totally separate, but equal in dignity and respect. So under that, they were military commanders, knights, you know, KN knights. So we had knights, warriors, military commanders, and the whole army in that rank. And then we had another rank, like there were farmers, businessmen, you know, craftsmen, all other jobs. And everybody were actually a master in his own, basically, work, you know, in her own job. And men and women were equal. We know that in ancient Iran, and not every time or in everywhere, because it was a very vast empire. But the main approach, the main culture was that men and women were equal. They were inheriting equally, like not in some Islamic countries or societies, even Judaic countries and Christian countries in Middle Ages or Dark Ages. So women and men were equal. A woman could become a king, I mean queen, basically, and rule over a land or inherit from the father equally. Obviously, they had we had some differences too, because when we talk about ancient Iran and ancient religions, we had ancient religions and different branches of religion. So some branches, maybe they went and created their own, you know, developed their own laws. Maybe some inequality you can find all around the ancient Persian Empire, and it is possible. So coming back to your question, was he a savior? What way I was saying that? You basically to separate those ranks. Some people call it a caste system.
Caste system, yeah.
You know, ranking always can lead to a caste system, but it's not necessarily a caste system. That's what I'm trying to actually emphasize. It could lead to a caste system, but not always. Why? Because when you have those ranks, any society, for example, a democratic country can become end up in anarchy, you know, or oligarchy, you know, or it can become too much bureaucratic, you know. A kingdom can turn into dictatorship. Even a republic can turn into dictatorship. You see China, Russia, Turkey, Iran, I mean Islamic Republic in Iran. Yeah, basically, so it's not about the structure, it's about the function that is important. Some people, when they see a structure, oh, that's a perfect structure. No, you should see if the structure is good, so how it works. So a ranking society can lead to a caste system or an unjust society, or may not. So it depends on how it functions. If they are at war a lot, or if they have a lot of tension, internal tension, external tension, if they face a famine, a plague, or huge public health problems, a drought, so those kinds of things, they can create a lot of injustice and some kind of they say so the space between social classes, it just it grows bigger. For example, somebody has a few $1 million savings or something. I mean, well, somebody has, for example, $2,000. So you see a lot of difference and distance between them. So that's one thing I said. I wanted to go back to Cyrus the Great. So some religious leaders like Ardashir Babakan, the founder of Sassanid Empire or kingdom, he was a hirbad, was a religious person. He received religious teachings. Like people go here to Sunday school or whatever, or Catholic school, for example. But when he graduated, he became a king. So when he became a king, based on the Indo-Iranian European culture, as I explained, there was a separation between religion and a state. So he became the king, but he was not a religious leader anymore. He was not a religious person anymore. It's fantastic. So and it was very interesting at the time of Darius the Great. So we had a magus who sat on the throne of Cyrus the Great, like after Cyrus the Great, after he had a son named Cambodia, or Cambyses, I think they say in English. And so Cambyses died, or he was killed. Two narratives we have. And Gaumat, he sat on the throne. So Darius, the main military commander, the biggest military commander who conquered Egypt, so he came back to Iran and he saw, oh, okay, the king is dead, Bardia. Because when Cambyses went to Egypt, he put his brother Bardia on throne. One narrative, another says he killed Bardia. So when Darius came back, the king was dead, Cambyses was dead on the way back, or he was killed. Different narratives we have. And then he faced, somebody is sitting on the throne. So he killed that magus, whose name was Gaumat. They call him fake Gaumat. How do you say? Usurper, I think. Gaumat the usurper. Gaumat Qasib, or fake Bardia, because he said, I am Bardia, the son of Cyrus the Great. So anyway, Darius, as a military commander, came and killed, assassinated this fake Bardia, this usurper, and then he sat on his throne. And there were some actually riots in the kingdom, and then he went around and defeated them. And he came, and for the first time in history, he put the name of Ahura Mazda in his Bisutun, stone craving. And in that, he used for the first time the name of Ahura Mazda. He said, I fight for Ahura Mazda. Ahura Mazda gave me this kingdom. He helped me to conquer. And he explains who I am. He says, I honest person. I don't lie. I'm a warrior, and I have skills, you know, in sports. You know, I'm a good horseman, good shooter. You know, like archer. I mean, it's interesting. And he explains, I have some actually characteristics, some personal attributes, that I'm a religious person, a believer in God. I abide by religious laws. At the same time, I'm a king. And it's interesting. He says, I am a good religious person, a faithful person. I am a good warrior, and I want to become a good king. And he sets up some rules. He said, he has a very famous prayer you have heard. He says, oh, our Mazda, please save my land from lies, from drought, and from enemies. And it's interesting. Even that, you see a few interesting things. Lies are against Ahura Mazda, Aisha. Mm-hmm. You have Aisha, you have lies, you know, or Druj, which is a kind of a Daiva or Div or demon, the biggest demon. In front of the demon of lies, you have Asha or Arta, which is the you can kind of, for the lack of the better word, the angel of honesty, for example, or angel of law, angel of order. In front of that, against it, you have the demon of lies and anarchy, you know, and yeah. So he's in that prayer. Some people can interpret it as in the rank of religion. Mm-hmm. When he said, "Our Mazda, save my land from lies," it's a religious kind of concept there. From drought is for farmers, the rank of farmers and craftsmen, everything, and from enemies. So it's the rank of military guys and warriors and kings. Mm-hmm. So it's like in his prayer says, "Oh, our Mazda, please bring to my land the best for all 3 or 4 ranks." It's interesting. So that's amazing, because in the ancient thought, if all ranks work properly, the society would be great. It's like a kind of heaven. So if religious people, leaders and religious people work properly, military guys work properly, kings work properly, and farmers and craftsmen, so you have a good empire, good country, society. It's amazing. I mean, when I think about it, it's amazing, really. So yeah, until now, so if you have any comment, questions.
That's very fascinating, because like it's very similar to the teachings of Buddha. When he was born, this religious person said that he's either going to become a king or he's going to become a very religious and pious person. So they're both very important, but they're separate, which I think it's very important. But they still work harmoniously.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, you brought up. Remind me to go back to end actually at Cyrus, because what I was saying was that you can be a good religious person, but at the same time you can be a good king or warrior. But they don't interfere with each other. Mm-hmm. In terms of character, whether it's Cyrus the Great or Cyrus the Great, they can be great people. They can have a magus aspect in their character, a magus thought or magus wisdom in their character, in their mind, but at the same time, a good warrior, a good king, you know. Cyrus could be a good farmer too, you know. I mean, they don't contradict each other, but in terms of society, you should say who I am. So when you say who I am, where I want to work in which rank, so you have to follow the rules of that rank. That's what is important. And at the same time, you have to follow the rules of the rank, and you have boundaries. You can interfere in the, if you are a farmer, you can interfere in farmery. You can talk about, oh, how should we farm, you know, and give professional advice in that area, but not in every area. So you are not allowed to go around, hey, king should rule like that, or we have to fight like this, you know. Or we have to do astronomy, or you cannot interfere in religious teachings. At the same time, a religious person, I mean, religious leader, priest, cannot, a magus cannot interfere with farmery. They can, for example, pray, create good songs, you know, sing good songs, pray, and do education, because education was at the hands of the magi too. So educate good children in society, and be just. I mean, implement justice, because in ancient times, when it's a caste system, it has a problem, because in caste system you usually cannot basically go from one rank to another. But in ranking system, which I just made up this word, in the ranking society, you can go from one rank to another. We have that actually in Shahnameh at the time of Ardashir Babakan, founder of Sassanid Empire, around 230 Common Era, around around 1700 years ago. So he says, if a boy or girl is very smart, so but he's born as a, I mean, he's born to a farmer guy, he can go up in rank, he can become a warrior, he can become a good soldier, or, you know, he can grow up and become a as scribe, for example, in court, in the court of king, I mean, and in the palace, and or become a religious leader, priest, or magus. I mean, you could move within ranks, but basically, because you are born to a family, usually you learn the job from your father, you know, so automatically you take the job of your father. It's not that, oh, it's unjust, because some people look at the ancient times as, oh, who these guys were, they were like stupid guys, you know, everybody should follow the path of his father or something. But it is interesting, in Avesta we get the Ahura Mazda offers Jamshid or Jam or Yama to be his religious leader, and be his prophet, like Zoroaster, for example. But Jamshid says, no, I cannot do that, because I was not born and I was not raised to be a religious leader. It's interesting, because Jamshid comes from the rank of probably warriors, or kshatras, or kshatra, those who were raised and they were trained to act as rulers. It's interesting. I mean, you see the concept, or the whole concept there, the difference between all these orders and ranks. And Cyrus the Great, at the end, I mean, to summarize, but Cyrus had was a king, was a prince basically. He became a king. His father was king. He became he was a warrior. He became a king too, and he kind of achieved a kind of magus. He achieved a magus character, Magus dignity and wisdom. That's why, but he was so smart as well that he did not create a religion. He did not invent a religion. So, oh, I am the prophet, something, you know, God talks to me. He did not want to do that. Some people perceived him. That's why your question is important. A lot of people perceived him as a prophet, as a savior, whose words are kind of holy, whose words are holy means very special. You cannot ignore it. That means holy. You cannot just move away from. It is so important, so valuable, so vital. But at the same time, he didn't create a religion, but people looked at him, perceived him as a religious leader and magus. And that's what's beautiful is that's what is beautiful about Cyrus. And because he was a king, and as I said, because of the Indo-Iranian European heritage and philosophy, everybody should have his own rank and his own job. So he didn't want to interfere in religious affairs, and he wanted to remain as a king and be remembered as a king. And he believed that as a king, that like a secular, he had secular thoughts. He didn't want. He was okay. Religious guys should do whatever they want, and my kingdom should have different religions. Because if he had started a religion, so everybody in the kingdom would, oh, he's not a Cyrusian, for example, Cyrusian guy. I mean, it would create some tension, some injustice, you know, and what did they say in English? Prejudice and
Prejudice.
yeah, like Tabiz. They say in English. I forgot. Tabiz is social. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, we have 4 minutes, like 3 minutes, if you want to say something.
I really like how Zarathustra, he didn't involve himself in politics, at least from what I understand of him. Like, he didn't involve himself in politics. Like, he just was a magi or a savior kind of figure. He didn't mix himself up and stuff. He didn't, you know, because I feel like that's where like the mess begins in religion, when you mix yourself up with something that you're not familiar with.
Yeah, that's true. When we go to Gata, that's why I explain all these things. When we read Gata, so we're going to see how Zoroaster talked about all these things. That's what is beautiful to me, because I don't see that, okay, Gata is just some songs there for Zoroastrians. It was all spread around. It was spread all around, and you see that everybody was kind of implementing Gata's teachings. You see Gata's teachings in action, in reality. That's why history is very interesting to me. And when I read history, I see in that light. And yeah, just a question, because we have 2 minutes here. Do you want to come back and continue, or leave it for another day?
I think we could like leave it for another day, just so that we could see if more people can join us.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much about today. We wanted to read Gathas, but we then kind of gave some introduction into how we can read Gathas in a broader perspective, with a broader mind, or yeah, the word I was looking for was discrimination. I mean, yeah, not creating any discrimination in kingdom. And there were some attempts to kind of unify Achaemenid Empire by the rule of law, not by religious law, but the law of law of the state, law of the kingdom, and that's what interesting about Achaemenid Empire about 2,500 years ago. So I was very so happy to see you guys. We have only 1 minute. you want to say goodbye?
Thank you very much, my
Bye.
friend.
Thank you.
I very much appreciate it.
It was really informative. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good background.
Happy.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, happy to see you
Yes.
and see you again later.
Yes. We'll read the book as well, so we get a better idea and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Okay.
Here, yeah, the time. We're running out of time, and see you later.
Yes, no problem. Okay, enjoy.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Yes.